Hello ladies and gentlemen, sunshines and bloody sweethearts, and welcome to the second bloody instalment of Chuffing Big Al's bloody spooky chuffing sales. I'll stick around here for a bloody treat. I hope you're of a strong stomach and a strong disposition, because some of the things I'll be sharing with you tonight, very, very spooky. Some harrowing bloody tales of pure chuffing, unadulterated chuffing terror. And because we're doing something so horrendously chuffing spine chilling, I thought I'd drink something a little bit bloody spooky, you know what I mean? So you may have seen a review the other day I did on chuffing Scotland's finest, bloody McKendrick's. Well, he's made a chuffing return. We've poured ourselves a gross measure to calm me chuffing. Let's have a quick bloody slurp before we get into the bloody guts at chuffing mass, you know what I mean? Oh, bloody hell, Jesus Christ. Oh. That's a bloody chest warmer and half that. I feel like my chuffing larynx is on chuffing fire. My larynx and my chuffing intestinal tract now is hotter than that chuffing flame on candle. Right, so last time we did stories about my previous address where I used to live with my chuffing mum and dad. And then we did a few little bits about where I first moved, you know, when me and Charlotte first got caught in them flats. And then we moved to that other house that she thought were a bit chuffing spooky, and then we moved here. And this is basically where we're living now. It's a chuffing townhouse. Now, where I'm filming these chuffing spooky tales, this is a new room that we constructed just before Christmas. It used to be a garage. And we've painted it and put false wall in it and stuff like this. And we turned it into a bit of a chuffing gymnasium. So it's quite a nice little chuffing gaff. But definitely got the right kind of ambience for these kind of spooky tales. Because hauntings quite often are either very, very low down or very, very high up. They're in like lofts, or they're in cellars or chuffing garages and stuff like this. So it ain't chuffing place to get the chuffing spirits, not just these kind of bloody spirits, although that's definitely spooky. Get the spirits bloody flying, you know what I mean? Right, so moved here, and it's a new house. It's a new, basically I think even as I speak now, I think it's not even 20 years old yet. It's about 18, 19 years old, something like this. So, and it's only ever had one other occupants. It was husband and wife and a child, and they left and we moved in. Nobody's died in here. There may have been a few like kind of ants or spiders or moths or beetles would probably carved it in here, but I don't think we're being haunted by chuffing beetles or moths or chuffing spiders or ants, you know what I mean? The pitter patter or little chuffing ant feet, I don't think so. But basically, yeah, Charlotte has heard her name called out. I've heard my name called out. Big Al. And she's a Charlotte. So we both heard that. Charlie's seen a few bloody spooky things. But let me just have a look down here what I wrote first. That is of interest. Apart from the footsteps and a few little bits of us. Now, Charlotte, I don't want to give so much information on this, but it just goes to prove the power of chuffing medium. She went to see a medium, and basically she had nothing on social media that was a dead giveaway, because they talk about these red lights and they have ears to the ground, and there's all sorts of means, modes and ways that these people could get information on you, especially if you're like all over social media and stuff. They know stuff because you're constantly chuffing telling people stuff. Like a medium, if they said to me you like whiskey, I'd say, do you watch me chuffing YouTube channel? You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. But she wants to see his bloody medium. Medium says, look, she says, unless you really, really want to, don't tell me anything. It's not an interview. I just want to look at you and get in contact with my chuffing spirit guys. I want to tell you some chuffing information. And I'd been at work on afters. And I came back that chuffing night, and Charlotte told me, she says that a lot of the stuff that she was telling her, she could only know if she had been in contact. She knew stuff that even Charlotte's mum and dad didn't know. That was really close to the flaming knuckle, but so accurate and so specific. It wasn't written down anywhere, not in the diary, not on social media. It was written down chuffing over, you know what I mean? So where this medium, chuffing pulled this information from. But she also said that the medium had said, so when I'm telling you all these stories last time on Spooky Tales about me seeing faces and me hearing whispers and all that chuffing crazy shit with bloody Yoda and all that stuff, all the weird things that happen to me when I've seen stuff and heard stuff. She says your husband is sensitive. And he knows it. And he may have switched it off, but he's been sensitive at some point in his life, like spiritually aware or spiritually kind of malleable, receptive, where kind of shuffling ghost ghouls and shuffling goblins, they can see you like kind of shining a little bit and they don't see, you know what I mean? Because they know, just take it from their perspective. If you're a shuffling ghoul and you're shuffling, it's certainly shuffling wandering around like, hey, and you're going up to people and you're going, hey, and they're all shuffling ignoring you. Then all of a sudden, you poke your shuffling head around the shuffling door, and there's me as a kid laid in bed, and I see you. They know I've seen them. They're going to come back, because it's all like, bloody hair's going up on back of my neck, do you? Got right cold in here. Actually, the camera's in top of a chuffing chest freezer, so it could be that. But I'm by candlelight, and that's throwing up a bit of heat, but there's spooky flaming essence went through the bloody room. Let me just have a bloody sip of this bloody mechanics, just to calm my bloody nerves a second. They always get bloody well spooky. But she also said that Charlie, little Charlie's inherited that same suffered trait. And he don't like being on his own in this house in any of the rooms. To the point where we both sleep with him a lot. Don't like to be in bed on his own. And even now, when he's getting quite old, which is not a problem, but he's spooked out sometimes, you know what I mean? Sometimes worse than others. To a point, sometimes if we're downstairs and he wants to go upstairs to the toilet, one of us has got to go up to the toilet with him. Otherwise he gets like kind of spooked. And I would pretty much say when I was a kid, you know what I mean? I can remember it chuffing well, so I know where it's coming from. So our Charlie's a bit of a sensitive too. But she did say that it becomes like a choice that you make, which is what I spoke about previously, that you get to a certain junction in your life and you either decide to believe it or not to believe it. And if you turn your back on it, then you start to kind of shut that power down a little bit. But if you turn into it, into the light almost, you probably become even more receptive and see and hear even more things. As you grow, probably that skill, that talent, that power grows as well. Or you can shut it down, close the door on it all, you know what I mean? Yeah, I tell you, one time I was, not that long ago, I think this was last year, I was in bed, and it quite often happens I'll be in bed with Charlotte, and at some point at night Charlie will come in, and either I'll go back into his room, or Charlotte will go back into his room, or I'll get in his bed and he'll get in with his mum, or you know, there's a lot of kind of bed sharing and bed swapping and stuff like this. You get it with kids sometimes, don't you? But there was one particular time where I seen the door open. It's about maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. And I seen this shadow come in and naturally assumed, because I'd just woken up, not been awake for long, in a few seconds. I seen this shadow and I naturally assumed it was chuffing Charlie. But then out of the depths of this shadow, Charlie emerged like a little chuffing angel. And he got in bed with me. And I looked at him, and then I turned back, and this shadow, this form, in kind of human form, human shape, was still there. And it was stood looking at me. And you could tell, and it did. And then slowly it just moved into the other corner of the bedroom, and it just chuffing disappeared. So that was a bit, buddy, bit of an eye-opener. This happened just at the tail end of last year. I don't think it was this year. I think it was tail end of last year, maybe just before Christmas, not long before Christmas. And again, I'd ended up in Charlie's room. But I think I was in Charlie's room from get-go, where Charlotte had said, look, have a chuffing break, have a rest, you're a bit tired. Charlie will get in with me and you just sleep in his room. So I'd just been reading. So I was very, very much awake. And it got to that point where I think I was on day shift and it was time to kind of, we got to go to bed because we've got to be up at 4:30, you know what I mean? So I got my book, put it to one side, turn the light off. I'm telling people this story at work and they keep on saying, oh, you was asleep. I turned that light off, very much awake, and this happened about 30 seconds later. This was within a minute of me getting in bed in the dark, and I had the door closed. So I closed the door, turned the light off, got in bed, very much awake, getting tired, but very much awake. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the atmosphere of the room, it seems to change, and it seemed a bit spooky, like there was something going off. I was aware of an happening, of a change in atmosphere, energetic or spiritual atmosphere of the room. The environment changed beyond all recognition. And emblazoned, if you will, in your mind's eye. Do you know when you like kind of think of somebody and you think about them very, very carefully, and you can see the face in your mind's eye and you can really see all the features emblazoned in my mind's eye, as if the face was right there in front of me. Middle-aged woman, not evil, but very stern, no humour on her face, just looking at me like that, just staring right at me. And no matter what I did, blink, slap myself, move around, stand up, move back, I could not get this woman's face. It was just there constantly, as if it were just looking at me. You know what I mean? A bit sulphurish in a way, just looking at me. And all of a sudden we got one of those like Alexa bloody Echo units. And it started spinning through a cycle. A particular colour and all this, it went through this kind of cycle. And I Googled it. Oh, because what happened, I'll tell you what happened there. So that really freaked me out. And I'm thinking, right, so I got up. I opened, like a little child, I opened the door and pinned it back. So you go from my bedroom, or Charlie's bedroom, to the landing to mine and Charlotte's bedroom. And I wanted that through there, in case I got too spooked, that so I could get to him. Like a little kid, I didn't want to have that door there, so I felt like I was trapped with this thing. And as soon as I did that, the energy seemed to move out, disappear. But I Googled it, and it only does that cycle, the Echo unit, Alexa Echo unit, only goes through that cycle when somebody gives it a voice command. Now, I didn't speak, I didn't say something, so who said something? Somebody said something. I'm thinking it's that woman trying to give me like a message. So that was chuffing well bloody spoken. I nearly took that already, I'm bloody terrifying myself. I told you it was chuffing scary tonight. And then this one is a bit more, this is a bit more of a pleasant one, this. I've got one, I openly admit, I've got like kind of 1 foot in the scientific camp, in the side of pure logic and pure reason. I've got 1 foot in the spiritual camp. I come from a Church of England background. Charlie goes to a Church of England school now, and I still think I would not be against the idea that there isn't some kind of deity. I'm not talking about a guy with a grey beard sat on a cloud, chuffing, scratching his ass. I'm not on about that. I'm on about some kind of conscious energy, be it universal consciousness, be it Mother Nature, be it God, be it Allah, be whatever it is. Some kind of power that is pulling a few chuffing strings, you know what I mean? As a big say and a big influence of what's chuffing going off. So I've still got a foot in that camp, and I was going through a particular phase in my life. It was just, this is all in my life, passing to my dad. And I was a little bit kind of down. And just out of nowhere, and I'm not ashamed to say it or embarrassed to say it, I've done it a couple of times on these. I prayed 2 or 3 times in this week. Chuffing spoke to whoever, the big man, the deity, whoever, universal conscious, Mother Nature. I spoke to this power. And the last time, well, not the last time, but one time when I'd done that in the past, I've been through like a few kind of like little flings of relationships that weren't that chuffing clever. And I prayed for somebody to come along where it'd be like mutually reciprocated, a love interest. A week later, I met my wife. So what's that tell you? That's quite interesting just on its own. But I did a bit of praying. And then all of a sudden, I had this dream, like 3 or 4 days later after I'd been doing all this kind of stuff. And in it, I was in this room. But do you know how some dreams are realer than real? And it feels more real than me doing this now. In this particular dream, I was in this chuffing room, and there was a mirror in front of me, big mirror. And all of a sudden, I seen in the mirror, sat over here in a chair, I seen my dad. How he looked around the time that he died. Not when he was ill, but when he was 70 plus, you know. And he was sat in this chair. And I looked away, and I looked back, and he was still there. And I started shouting at the mirror, Dad! Dad! I did it about 4 or 5 times. Next thing I knew, he was in front of me. And it was like me being stood right in front of somebody now. Somebody walks into this room and I'm stood in front of me. It was real. And he gave me a hug and we started talking. We went out on the street and he's telling me about you know, it's all right and he's okay, and asking how we are, and he says he knows that we're okay anyway because he checks in from time to time and all this kind of stuff. And he was saying that where he is, call it God, call it heaven, call it whatever you like, so it's all right. And he was saying there's even animals here, but he was saying that the animals, they don't move around as much as what the humans' spirits do, because they've not got as much life force, as much energy. So they're kind of a little bit limited, but he was just saying it were good. And then basically I told Charlotte this story, and she told me that the very same night she'd had a dream. And in this dream, because she says, Jesus, wait till I tell you this. In this dream, she was looking in a mirror, and there was a face in the mirror that weren't hers, but it weren't my dad or anybody, but it was somebody else. And the face in the mirror said, tell your husband to look in the mirror. And I looked in the mirror in my dream, and I seen my dad, and we had that conversation. And I woke up, I could have cried. It was so beautiful, and it made me so happy. So, that, on that kind of more kind of slightly melancholy but beautiful chuffing tale, will knock this second installment of the Chuffing Big Owl Spooky Tales on the Chuffing Head. I hope you enjoyed it. Chuffing finished this bloody foul, ghoulish bloody McHendrix. It's not too bad. I'd have another bottle and get myself on that Chuffing park bench. Right, see you later, sunshines and bloody sweethearts.